to our research methodology lecture. I think this is the fourth series of our lecture, and myself with Tuan Haji Shayaa, my old friends. Since Brother Shahran has already shared the good news of Haji Shayaa, just to inform you that at his age of 70 plus, he has achieved, it's a great achievement for him. He has written books, he has written hundreds of articles. He has been the CEO of many, the group CEO of many big companies, corporations in Malaysia and Turkey. But he took the initiative just to prove to brothers and sisters that at his age, he can still perform. Not only as a lecturer, very efficient lecturer, very efficient academician and researcher, and also administrator. So he has completed his PhD in Bible for his PhD in Islamic finance. So to continue with our lecture today, Brother Shayaa will elaborate or continue on the previous lecture on research method. There's research design consisting of sampling and data collection. May I call Professor Shayaa to deliver his presentation.
Okay, thank you, Professor Jamil, who always push me to do the PhD. While I've been professional, working in the private sectors. At the same time, I do thanks to him. He always put me to do that. Very much, not much time to do when you're working and you're entrepreneurs and so on. But anyway, alhamdulillah, being all practical, we try to bring research from academics to industry. I mean to see that there's always a dichotomy between academician and industrialists. So that is my aim, is to bring the two worlds, academician as well as industrialists, together, so that what Professor Omar, I did mention, the Secretary General of IIIT, once says that we are left behind in all aspects of activities. Empirical research is very important, and to bring both worlds into one direction, to enhance the development of Muslim world. Okay, anyway, let us explain back to our research methodology, and also that we could recall on my slide. I'm trying to put on my slide here. Okay, take the slide. The slide shares. Okay, I'll try to put on the presentation so everybody can see clearly. Okay, everybody can see clearly? Yeah, okay. These are the presentation. I think we continue from the previous part 3 presentation, and the part 4, we're coming to part 4 now. We try to do the sampling design, because sampling design is a very big subject, and also the data collection design is a big subject. But for these courses, we are just showing you the way, the way will lead you to go on your own, in the sense that we just put the key factors and the key areas that you should go. So let us refresh your mind on the last lectures. You can see that from the previous lectures, we have discussed about research design. Yes, it's a research design. And from the research design, we have discussed on the issue of research strategy, in the sense that design strategy, which is very important, that Maqasid al-Sharia, as being a Muslim, we should be able to put Maqasid al-Sharia as our overriding research objective. I think everybody can recall now Maqasid al-Sharia is protection of religion, protections of our life, human life. The third presentation, protections of our intellect, protections of our offspring, and of course, lastly, protection of our wealth resources. And these are the basic principle of overriding objective of research. Meant to say we should direct our research so that we're able to protect or achieve the ultimate objective of Sharia. These are overriding objectives what we have discussed earlier. And the rest of these objectives, for example, type of research, purpose of time dimension, all these tactical strategies to achieve our overriding strategies. Okay. So we have discussed earlier last week on this aspect. The most important thing is to choose these qualitative, quantitative research and so on, and also the purpose of the study, and also the time collection dimension, scope, and so on. In this case, Brother Professor Jamil had emphasis on all these aspects of research design. Basically, we have some Islamic ethic so that we not be able to we can abuse statistics, we can abuse research for our own purpose, but it's not the aim of Islamic, as we have putting Islamic ultimate objective of Sharia as the five principles mentioned earlier. So we should be fulfilling those ultimate objective of Sharia. So again, I think, okay, I'll try to look into all this. Okay, now let us go into this. This is just a refresher thing. And just refresh, the sampling design is basically, we have discussed here, yeah, basically the two types of qualitative research and quantitative research. We have discussed one of the areas of latest application of qualitative research is that based on the two commonly used means thematic analysis as well as content analysis. Why we usually use content analysis in terms of perception, assessment of perception of human mind is because quantitative, this content analysis could be geared toward frequency, what we call development of data analysis, frequency, table, metric, and so on. This can be able to do that. And here is more closer toward statistical analysis. And perhaps now with this all development in my research, I use this model and try to develop further model. So this content analysis could be migrated slowly into statistical analysis. So it's more quantified, more scientific in that sense. So these are qualitative research. What I'm trying to say is development, yeah. And this qualitative research is already being well developed in the sense that it consists of the sampling design, probability sampling, non-probability sampling, which is commonly used in the industry, where they use a market survey to determine demand, prices, and so on. The base quota sampling is non-scientific, but it is well developed in that sort of area. And this probability sampling is very scientific. It is done in many research, social research, in science development, and so on. We need to have probability sampling in order that our sample well representative, well is represented, and is randomly being selected. It's very important scientifically because from this scientific system we're able to assess what's going wrong. We can follow up what's wrong with our sampling technique and so on. So, okay, this is refresh back what we have discussed last week. Well, today we are trying to discuss on that. We have forgotten about the collection design. Sampling design, we have done it. We have discussed last week. And now we're trying to talk about or discuss about data collection design. There must be some format of consistent design so that we'll be able to collect data consistently, reliably. I mean, we are assured of reliability, we are assured of reliability and practicality. The design is important as far as design, sampling design. collection design is very important as well. If you look at the type of measurement investigation question, there are two main areas: observation approach, communication approach. When you talk of communication approach, we're able to do personal interview. As you know, it's commonly being what we call being the use of being practiced both in research, social research, as well as industrial research, and what we call, as far as scientific is concerned, maybe this approach is more what we call it, more practical when we talk of the effect of a virus, COVID virus. They're looking observation approach in the sense that look at the identification, the behavior of virus to affect the behavior of the patient and so on. As far as this communication approach, we can personal interview, phone interview, self-administered inquiry. Yeah, in this case, I will tell you later an example. This will able to, when we decide either one of these methods, we're able to devise our own question. What is the question which is more likely to be able to collect reliable data, and what sort of instrument? This instrument design means a question design. An instrument, that questionnaire is an instrument for data collection. Okay. For example, in observation approach, we must have some technical design, in proper design, so that we can record, observe the changes in our subject matter consistently in terms of standard format and so on. Okay, these are the basic approach too. Of course, you can look into the many what we call it, research work, research methodology, but bear in mind that there are two more important areas of data collection. Okay. Yeah, for example, for the questionnaire and data collection, these are the field survey. We tell you the field survey. This field survey undertaking to study the condition of the rubbish being collected, because now rubbish is being generated, millions of tons, becoming an environmental problem. So what we're going to do with this rubbish? We can of course turn rubbish to useful product, in the sense that if in Islam we look into rubbish and how we could turn this rubbish into recyclable products or usable product, especially rubbish generated from household, industry, and so on. There are many rubbish that could be turned into what we call usable products. So I'm taking an example here. This field survey is to determine the composition of rubbish. Just an example, the questionnaire. You see a very simple, the rubbish is being defined accordingly, yes, and the percentage of being, what percentage of rubbish is being existing in the sense of organic, wood, papers, plastic, and so on, various types of plastic and so on. So we're able to determine this in this. If you allow people or employ somebody, a student, or rather you pay someone to help you to collect this information from the rubbish landfill, you will be able to standardize this question, this rubbish. And of course, the composition, the most mixture of rubbish is will be measured accordingly. And normally, all those questionnaires, if you given to someone to collect on your behalf, there are what do you call that guideline given here. There are many guidelines, which I just given you an example, one or two. There are several guidelines in this questionnaire, so that the interviewer will be able to focus on the, what do you call that, ethics. We put there the ethics, the importance of rubbish, in case of rubbish, the subject matter to be collected, and so on, so they'll be able to understand and is able to be responsible for those data collected. And Dato will be explained later on the importance of ethics in the collection of data. You can just sit down from this. You can do it by sitting down under the tree and fill up yourself and do analysis for yourself. But of course, this is not unethical. But you can come up with this data, and you can analyze data by USPSS and so on to make your research feasible. Excuse me. And these are the example of actual data sampling. I will explain later example how this data will be collected, how this data will be relating to the what it called to the sampling design. This is an example where market survey is done. Normally, market survey is done by quota sampling. To tell you what is quota sampling is not really scientific. They just have a quota. Say, for example, interview 20 people, 10 people in this area. Just collect without taking into consideration of randomness of the subject matter being selected. So that's why they are non-probability. So here you can see the market survey example of the question design is also structured in such a way that this is in relation to market survey to the recycled product into your field work just now, field questionnaire. So these are the basic information structure and this instruction given to the what they call interview people who are going to be interviewed and so on. Okay. And this is an example of content analysis. Content analysis is basically to assess the mind of a person from the way they talk on the subject matter openly. There's no question asked. Suppose they give a lecture on certain issue, we can assess from their mind what they are talking about certain subject openly, and also from your discussion of meeting, over meeting table, over lunch, over dinners of the subject matters, you can assess them through this way of collecting. Just from an interview, but from secondary data, you could also assess from the way they are writing the book, the way they are writing a journal. These are the way they are giving speech and so written speech. From this secondary data, you're able to analyze your mind in the sense that what sort of perception they have into this certain subject matter. For example, the talk of Sharia, maqasid of Sharia. When we talk to them, what is the perception? If you do some study or research of maqasid Sharia relating to management, how they understand the two subject matter? Let them talk. Then you can quantify them talk by this coding. I will tell you in the analysis how you just write what they're saying here, and the subject matter. For example, he's saying that I don't understand maqasid al Sharia. What it is meaning? I don't think it's able to be integrated into any other activities in life. I just write it down. In this case, later on you can codify it into a small word, and then you can analyze, making a pattern of it. I will talk this. This is just data collection first. You just write it here. Just write it here, your opinion. And then later on you codify. There's a certain code that you codify here. You see? And also, this you can get it from the written. Example, you read the books on the by an author. From the author mind, what is the thing of the certain issue that you're talking about? For example, maqasid al-Sharia in relation to management, maqasid al-Sharia in relation to development of a nation, and so on and so on. So you'll be able to grab the most important element on the subject matter, and then later on you quantify. These are the data collection method as far as content analysis is concerned. Well, there are also many other areas. I give you an example here. Normally, they call it scaling method, an opinion survey. Normally, opinion survey, you can see they're putting some areas here. Yeah. You can also see that they're putting some what you call element views on this. 1, 2, 3, what do you think? And then they have scaling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you think of this? You scale 5 and you circle 4. The person you interview normally is being directed to what you want to this is my view for this scaling method. We have some reservation to industry. I rather prefer to use content analysis now, because these are the elements that you need to put into their mind. You see, and here these are the areas that you want to see. So many things, but sometimes it's useful too to get how many percent people like this. It's an opinion survey. It's very good. It's an opinion survey, but you want to study the perception of some people's mind, they're thinking, you could do content analysis, but you want to assess the opinions of people, then you do the what they call that, scalar method. You see, for example, as mentioned in other survey, what do you think of corruptions in the government departments or in the institution? You list it down: government department, police, what they call transport department, immigration, and so on. So you will see that, yeah, 5, 2, 3, and so on. So you make analysis. Your analysis outcome is 57% of the people opinion that the police is corrupted, for example. It doesn't mean that the police are corruption. 50% of the personnel in the department are corrupted. It's an opinions from people. This opinion survey normally is important to see the image of an organization, what the opinions of the people towards the organization, and you can improve the image. Not to say you are, what they call image is normally opinion, looking into the opinion, so you can rectify it. In industry, you're trying to look at image of the people relating to your service, so you're able to improve your service and so on. Okay. Okay, these are the scaling method they commonly use. Okay, as I promised last week, by giving an example of these some thesis relating to you're preparing for PhD thesis, and you have done your what? Your proposal method. You have done your earlier discussion in part 1. You have done your survey on the environment subject matter. You see the problem, not the symptom. After you assess the problem, you're able to identify, reduce, capsulize the problem into problem statement, and you have defined your what do you call it? Your problem areas to define your research areas, and then you have discussed with the expert and your supervisors. Then you come up with your research proposal. And in research proposal, research design, you're able to, as we discussed, you're able to strategize your strategy, the choice of research and so on. So later on, you're able to, it comes out with a total example what you're going to do in terms of your research proposal, research in actual research study. So here is an example. Depending on the universities, how they're structured, research. This is a practical research. This one university, they prefer to be 5 chapters only. Maybe easy for them to assess, easy from the external examiner to assess, and so on. So they want an introduction, chapter 1. Literature review, research methodology, data analysis, okay, and then research finding. And then of course the conclusion in chapter 5, and of course these are the structure. It depends on university. They would like to have, some university want 8 to 7 chapters, but these are basic chapters 5 that covers all the important key areas, for example, literature review, research methodology, data analysis, research finding, and so on. Okay, I have more 5 minutes, I think. Okay, just give an example how we could apply, and of course, introduction. Of course, what I mentioned earlier, issues, problem, the problem statement here, and then the research objective. This normally there's so many research objectives has to be. It would be preferred if you could focus on less objective and less research question, because you define so many questions to be raised. You define your scope much easier for you to assess. Not too many questions, not too many objectives. So this is much simpler for you to do. Okay. Okay. So normally in the background, as I mentioned earlier, I just recall it. We have to make problem assessment of the problem. Yes. We have to identify the problem, what is going on. This I give you an overview. This is my overview of the whole problem that I could do. As far as maqasid al-shari', as far as Sharia to be understood. And I see in the problem, what are the business trends today? There are also a lot of social obligation they're going to do. For example here, social responsibility. There are so many responsibility being done by the private sectors. But of course, they are not proper set of obligation. They are just want to see obligation. They give money for sport, they give money for anything. But in Islam, we have to fulfill the purpose. That's what this is. I quote a Sheikh Ali, academic advisor, IIIT, London, in his book. Before that, he said that for Islamic ruling to fulfill their purpose of justice, equality, human rights, development, and civility in today's context, implementation of maqasid Sharia is vital. This is very important. I think I like to quote his word. I think this is Sheikh Ali, academic advisor to our IIIT in London in this book. This is important. I just like to repeat, for Islamic ruling to fulfill their purpose of justice. People talking about justice. You're talking about equality. We are talking of human rights. We are talking of development. We talk of civility. In today's context, implementation of maqasid al-Sharia is vital. That is why my PhD thesis is relating to maqasid al-Sharia in the application to strategic management, because I think the failures of the world today, they don't have the proper management. And of course, maqasid al-Sharia, as what we mentioned, al-Shaykh, is very important here. So I have created this chart for me to understand, but to give me always in my mind to understand, always why chart is like this. I could remember what is being said by al-Shaykh Academy, what is going on in industry, what is the purpose of maqasid al-Sharia here. And I also can remember what Dr. Baka here, maqasid al-Sharia book written here about maqasid al-Sharia. Okay, let us now go to the back giving down. It's important, I see this. I'm sorry I couldn't comment Salim's papers, but I comment later. We should devise, rather when we talk of, it is read so many problem issue, but if we identify the problem issue in this form of metric, easy for us to remember all the time that where are we going for our direction for our research. This, for example, here, our research interest is maqasid al-Sharia. Our second is strategic management. Third is we focus now to make the study more focused business in MSY. This is the problem. I mean, this is the interest area. So here we can see the research problem here, perception, issue of strategic management, but dichotomy with management and so on, and then relating to business. These are problem areas, but we quantify into these what I call main issues. And then, of course, the justifications of problem areas and so on and so on. There's a gap between the two, but not a gap between application of Sharia and strategic management. Gap in literatures. You see the gap in literatures about these two subjects, you see? Okay, and also gap between application and business. So there's a gap. Once there is a gap, there are gaps. We have to reduce the gap. The purpose of research is to reduce the gap. So we can have a brief discussion how to reduce the gap and so on and so on. Okay, these are problem areas have been discussed in earlier, what I call just recall example again. See, with all this, we have scanned all the problem. We have summarized it into a more easier for us to assess. We can lead to a problem statement. For example, here, to reduce all this gap, there is no model to integrate to address these issues so as to bring the gaps closer. You see, that is most important element in our focus study. This research program. Okay. We have time. We have 5 minutes more. Try to go through later on. If it's not finished, we can discuss next discussion. For example, here having the gap, as earlier discussion in part 1, I think we have discussed. We have identified problem, statement problem. Then we refine the research question. There are so many questions from this problem, but we need to define research question into more easier, more clearer, so we're able to do the research area. So research question is this in this case, and then how, what happened to here, and then we can create an objective. Normally you can do this first, and then create objective later. Or we have objective first and this. It doesn't matter. Either one is okay. Okay. So we have the scope. The scope of study. As we mentioned earlier, there must be some scope of study. The scope assessing the perception of reticulation. There's a gap there. So there must be some qualitative research to do this area to assess. Okay, we define. We're going to do text research based on interview and also based on primary data, primary and secondary data. Primary data when we interview directly. Secondary data we try to get from the book in journal written, and also the scope of developing integrated model. There are so many models. From literature review, you can choose one. And then, of course, we could do the research, how to do this, assess Maqasid al-Sharia as a corporate strategy, as well as to assess whether it is financially viable and so on, depending on our research title. Okay. This literature review, just quickly, we'll go through another 4 minutes. So we're just giving literature review for your example, with 300 references, and with the subject into management, research methodology, solid waste, and Sharia. These are the subject areas that we under our research interest. So we have to focus our research literature review based on this subject. Okay, and also we should focus on books written, journal, and others. And also, since our objective is the Maqasid al-Sharia is main objective, overriding objective, we should also refer the Quran. So Quran is also full of wisdom, principle, and guide for us to do research. So these are the example of model created. This is a model, strategic model. Why model is to say we have to identify why we choose this model. This is a process model which is commonly used in industry. When I work in industry, we use this model. You look at the model in the books and many discussion on this issue. There's so many other models, but practically this model is widely being used. Mean to say, in order to have creativity or other corporate strategy, we must do some internal assessment, external assessment, internal assessment analysis. Then we develop vision. Then we come with a corporate long-term objective. So here, then we assess our practicality, viability, and financial viability, and so on. So in this case, when corporate strategy, Maqasid al-Sharia as a corporate strategy, we sure we can come up with straight to this area without making internal, external analysis, because this is revealed knowledge from Allah. It derived from Quran and Sunnah. So in the sense that the objective is applying this as a corporate study. Maqasid al-Sharia means ultimate objective of Islam. So you can just put it here, and we make sure that all our objective here, tactical objective, fulfill this required corporate strategy. Okay. Okay, this is just to reduce the gap. You see, today, as mentioned earlier, they are focusing on financial viability. Maqasid al-Sharia focus Islamic law and jurisdiction, nothing to do with other management. So this is a quality I mentioned here, qualitative and quantitative. I have one more time. We will discuss next lectures on detail of how we carried out making analysis, and this create an hypothesis. From this overall, they are creating an hypothesis that is null hypothesis, overriding hypothesis of this what I call model we need to create from this research we need to do, we should create an hypothesis. And of course, research methodology we discussed just now. We will discuss later how we collect the data from this questionnaire has been mentioned earlier. See, these are sampling what I call the design as we discussed earlier, the two aerial survey, and these are the sampling technique. Why cluster is being used? Residential area, commercial area, industrial area. This is to reduce errors, so that when we develop clusters, we're able to select a very responsibility. That means every clusters, or rather every individual or every subject matter is being taken care of from various clusters. This was the purpose of this cluster, the reason of the cluster. You can see the COVID analysis 19, the tackle is by cluster. We're able to identify cluster, we're able to know how this cluster represents the whole cluster. Reverse engineering. Here is we're talking about time sample from the cluster individual represent the whole cluster. We can what we call increase the problem. Okay. That is a opinion survey, interview people as a quota sampling technique. We just identify, no more sampling technique. We just identify, we want to interview 20 people from these 3-4 areas of importance. We go on interview. Just an indicator. So here, from all these elements, yes, just this at the end of this discussion, we get primary data from the municipal solid waste management, composition of cluster sampling. We collect data from non-probability sampling. We're able to start to determine the statistic composition and the price reasonable data. We can create what I call this plan, and we can make some analysis and so on. Before we proceed this, remember that we do some qualitative research to see the perception of the management and scholars, whether they accept this something. There are trends. Next week, I will tell you the outcome of the thinking, how this could be, how this research could proceed. Okay, thank you very much. That is for today, and we will elaborate further on the analysis and how market quality analysis, safe quality analysis, and so on. Okay, thank you, brother and sister. I hope you don't find it boring discussion. Thank you.
Dato.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will share my slides. Yeah.
Okay.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Brother Shayaa, for giving very details on the sampling design and data collection. Of course, there are some notes I find in the chat that they could not read the writing because yeah, maybe you are using your handphone. It is very small. Number two, maybe the reason is that Haji Shayaa is recalling what he has given previously, so the point becomes smaller as we go along because you have already, just to show to you that the contents already being covered. Okay, for example, this one I followed his example, so review from previous lecture. Of course, the slide is very small. Just for your information, the Haji Shayaa used to be almost 70% blind when he was in the secondary school. So at that time, he developed certain technique how to study by looking at very minimal words for him to capture the whole facts. Until Alhamdulillah, he has been successful, getting first class in his bachelor's, master's, and becoming CEO of various corporations in Malaysia and Turkey. So he developed a book called Mapping. Mapping is a combination of mapping, picture, and mapping. The book is available, and if you are interested, maybe Tuan Haji Shayaa can provide with on PDF copy, whatever it is. You can contact personally to Haji Shayaa. So teaching basically all this based on the technique that he used in the mapping. I have not been able to capture fully yet the way that he developed the mapping system, but slowly, although I've been very close to him. So that's the history of what Brother Shayaa is doing. So just to continue what he has been doing, previously we were talking about research methodology from Islamic perspectives. The most important is the researcher. Researcher must have some knowledge in the field, and if he is a Muslim, a good Muslim, a practicing Muslim, this is a Muslim researcher. And then number two, the research objective should be in line with Sharia and Maqasid Sharia. So this is very important. So there are some research might not be in line with Sharia. Should we do that? For example, when we are working with the non-Muslim in the Western universities, they might request us to do some research which might not be in line with us. We have to do it. So you consult the Sharia people, they say that no, this is not Islamic research, for example. And even it is Sharia compliance, but is it in line with Maqasid Sharia? There is another aspect of Islamic methodology. So then we go to research method as what has been done by Brother Shayaa today on sampling, data collection and processing method used in the analysis of data presentation, and then research materials. Research material is, or we call it a respondent, sampling units, we call it. And this is also important in the scientific research. And number 5 is the research assistant, the people who assist us. They must understand our vision. Otherwise, we will not be in line with our research. Number 6, the research process of planning data, collection, analysis, presentation, and research results. And other aspect of research in the process is the Islamic ethic. Of course, there are code of ethic for research in the Western context, but for us it's very important because we are responsible to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. So the Islamic research ethic is very important for us. So in research methodology, Islamic perspective, it covers Sharia, Maqasid Sharia, and Islamic ethic. So example of non-Sharia research. Pork is haram, forbidden to eat, because its essence is considered impure. This is based on the verse of the Quran where it is described as being rich Arabic. Quran based on the Surah 6 and Ayat 145. Supposing you are required to conduct a research to test the impurity of the pork, the result is whether the pork is haram or halal to eat depend on the level of impurity. So whatever the fatwa that the researcher is going to give will determine from the results. He may get the result is negative from the verse of the Quran. So this is what we call it, the research output. So this is where you have to check with the Sharia expert whether the above research is in line with Sharia or not. So that's very important, that before you do such important research. So this is what we call a scientific research, which some of you, those who are in the science discipline, we have to do all this. So this is an example of the Sharia or non-Sharia. So as has been mentioned by the Sharia, Maqasid Sharia is another important aspect. The religion, the intellect, the life, the property, or the wealth. All these are part of the 5 principles of Maqasid Sharia, and also, in line, in continuation of the Sharia. And then we go to Maqasid Sharia. In the process of doing your research, okay, from the stage you are doing your proposal and designing questionnaire, sampling design, data collection, analysis, all these stages you require to adhere to ethical principle. Obtain informed consent from the research participant. All these are part of it. But what is important, I want to stress here, to minimize the risk of harm to participant. So this might not be seen by many researchers. So we have to look into this. This is important in the Islamic research. You look at the Islamic ethical values to be observed in research. Research design sampling unit must avoid or minimize harm to human subject as research participant in the sample. So this is an example of scientific research. For example, a research to study the effectiveness of 2 types of vaccine for the coronavirus. We need to take a sample of 200 human subjects to be given vaccination using the Vaccine X, 100 patients, using vaccine Y, 100 patients. So from there, they will make comparison. The result will be positive if the patient is cured, or negative, of course harmful, could be paralyzed or anything could happen. So again, this one, you have to check with the Sharia expert on the above issues, because there will be number 11 on the right hand side. There will be any negative effect to the research unit or the respondent, or the over here we call it research unit, the human. Yeah? So this is an example of the research. Is it in line with Sharia, in line with Maqasid Sharia, or is it ethical to do it? So this is one example, as I mentioned to you. And then continue with some Islamic ethical values. When you select sample, for example, in the sampling design, how do you select research sample? Is it a bias sample? For example, you select a group of people with bad intention to harm them. Okay, let's give this vaccine X, because we know that vaccine X is not effective to kill the group of people. This is anti-ethical. So in the selection sampling unit also, it is where the unethical aspect can occur. So these are the two examples that can be another. So there are someone is asking, an example of research that that in line or not in line with Maqasid Sharia. For example, those who attended Professor Sanu's lecture last week about ijtihad and about ijtihad on the Maqasid Sharia. For example, using sanitizer, where the sanitizer is the content is with the using alcohol. Is it when you use sanitizer and then you go to the mosque and pray? So here, coming back to Maqasid Sharia, is protection of religion or life. So over here, the ijtihad is that protection of life is more important than religion. So these are some of the simple example that we can take. You know, or maybe using the pork product in the vaccine for the coronavirus. Is it Sharia, in line with the Sharia? If they allowed certain amount of pork product to be used in the vaccine, then when you use it, same thing like alcohol, is it in line with Maqasid Sharia? So these are some of the issues that make a difference between the Islamic research methodology and the Western research methodology. The methodology may be the same, but the objective, the ultimate objective of the research of Maqasid Sharia will be different. So I think this is all what I want to present to you, and maybe we can discuss on some of the issues that has been brought up by some brothers and sisters in their question. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
I see that there are few questions raised by the participant. First is regarding what is the difference between the doctoral research and non-doctoral research? Okay, they're two different. What are the difference? Okay, perhaps Dato could elaborate that. What is the difference with doctoral and non-doctoral research? There are questions raised. There are also raised, how do you bring together the what do you call that, theoretical and practical research? Okay, so I on that second question I can answer, but I think the first one, Professor Jamil can answer. Regarding, let me address on the second issue. I think regarding what I observe from externally, before I'm an academician, I have the advantage of becoming non-academician as well as industrialist. So much of the research, or many of the research, is what we call it. There is no much attention is being given to the application of Sharia into the industry, except there's exceptional except for the Islamic finance, which include Islamic bond, Islamic capitals, Islamic insurance, so on. They are well developed in the area, and also in terms of halal food consumption, and now going toward halal, what we call this, halal hospitality, halal medicine, and so on. Okay, but other areas yet to be developed. What I personally see as a manager before, in terms of my understanding, the reason behind the downfall of many Islamic institution, even Islamic country, because of their failures of putting maqasid al-Sharia into their administrative of the nation. You see, because we can see that many are trying to take one element away. They just say that Islam is merciful, is what do you call that, mercy to mankind. That means before they also say Islam is what they call that, another element I can't forget. They look into one portion of Islamic. They don't look into maqasid al-Sharia as a whole. So even, for example, I was questioned before in my class in Europe with the managers. We follow one book that is what I cite Al-Qadawi books. So there is a book written there. There is one haram. I mean, it is halal to eat what I call the animals. To say if it is some animal bite the animal before the animal die, quickly we salted it. That is halal to eat. Okay. One interesting question asked me, what about the snake? If the poisonous snake bite the goat, for example, we slaughter it quickly. Can we eat it? I couldn't answer. But I did my research literature review. I came across a research carried out in America by one scientist. They say that when the poisonous snake eat the what do you call that? They bite the animals, you slaughter it, you still can eat the animals because of it is the poisons does not go into the meat and so on. So that's quite safe. Scientists said that's got the answer. For example, just last question. Interesting when you raise about this alcohol. I see haram alcohol, which is we must understand there are two types of alcohol. One is ethanol alcohol. Ethanol alcohol or ethyl alcohol is derived from fermentation. When we talk of fermentation, the alcohol derived from microorganisms. Is the excretion of microorganisms, 1,000 million of microorganisms, living organisms, absent of oxygen due to fermentation, they release alcohol. To me, that is not, what do you call it, haram in the sense that not clean, because excretion. But if you use methanol alcohol, which is original alcohol, same characteristic, but it is derived from plants, it's not from fermentation, that is halal. And to say it's from derived from alcohol. That's what I'm quite sure. I see alcohol, I read there. It is ethanol or it's methanol. Ethanol, I will not use it. Wash your hand, use it in the mosque because it is contents derived from fermentation. The other ethanol, if it is written there, methanol, that is understood, it derived from plant. So, in this case, we have to be careful. Maqasid al-Sharia says, right, so we will use methanol. We cannot compromise. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't use ethanol. When even I see that in the mosque, enter the mosque, they used to clean my hands, sanitizer. I look at it is ethanol, I will not use. I'm sorry, I wash my hand with soap. I say. Even the soap also you have to look is halal or not. Some soap are derived from animal product. Animal product means what? From animals, normally from pigs. Pigs products. So it's important to understand. Even we wash our clothes. Have you able to look at the contents? The soap used in our body? You see, if it's written the halal, then we use it. If not halal, you use it. How could we make ourselves clean? So it's very important. Okay, that's my observation.
Okay, so we have very little time. Less than 5 minutes. There was one question about any difference between master's research and PhD research, or even undergraduate research. To me, they are all the same in terms of the ethical value it has. From undergraduate, you have to learn and to train yourself to be a good researcher. when you go to do your master's and PhD. This also to prepare you when you leave the university, when you do the actual research with your organization. To me, the research should start from undergraduate. And even now, from school also they conducted some small research. The students are being trained that way, you know. And regarding our presentation today, you can check. I think there is a recording. Maybe the Shahran put it on the Facebook. We have to check. All our lectures will be on the Facebook, and we will provide Brother Shahran with all our open presentation for the purpose of the brothers and sisters who are participating in this lecture. So maybe we can allow face to one question from the participant. Open. Can you raise your hand so that I can allow Brother Shahran with unmute and you can ask question.
Dato, thank you. Yeah, we wait for anyone to raise hand.
Raise hand, Brother Shahran. We put unmute.
Okay, we have this one, Rabiatu Abbas. Well, it's missing already. Okay. We have Taufik and Yusria. Take what Taufik first. And then Yusria. 2 questions. Okay.
2, okay. Right.
Okay, Brother Taufik, go ahead.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof, for the inspiring lecture. My question, I totally agree with our dear Nam.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nigeria, but living in Malaysia.
Okay.
So I'm totally agree with our Prof Shayaa for bringing in the Maqasid Sharia into the research methodology. But I just want to ask, because we know what kind of topics that we can use quantitative and also qualitative for. So I'm wondering, how are we going to use research method, Maqasid Sharia? How can we differentiate between quantitative and qualitative research in using Maqasid Sharia, and what are the best way to do that? Jazakumullahu khairan. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
And second questions.
We take the sister Yusria. Okay. Yusria can, okay.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, Prof. Thank you so much for this nice lecture. My question about data analysis. If I'm using qualitative method and I have data and I want to use in vivo software.
Okay.
Yes, sister.
Brother Shayaa, 2 questions. Can you take that?
Yes. Regarding the issue of qualitative research and quantitative research, basically, if you look at Maqasid al-Sharia, the objective, how are you going to look into it? Are you going to every research activity from the start of identifying your topics or problem, you should look into your overriding strategy. What is your overriding strategy? Your overriding strategy is to fulfill the set of objective as being specified by Maqasid al-Sharia. Sharia means that it means Maqasid al-Sharia means ultimate objective of Sharia. Excuse me, which means one, protection of life. Protection of religion. Second is protection of life. Third is protection intellectual. Fourth is protection of his offspring. And last is protection of the wealth. Okay, that is one example you want to do a research. Because it's a very wide objective. Your expertise in what? If your expertise in the economy, you want to look at how zakat could be better improved in terms of enhancing the Muslim economy or the mine economy. So that in the objective is what? Is the protections of one is human life, isn't it? Human life first is to provide economic activities. And secondly, your main operating objective maybe one is to protection religion. Protection religion means to make sure that the zakat or the economic activity in conformation with Sharia. See? So what is it? Now your zakat. So your zakat is your subject matter. So you look at the zakat situation, zakat implementation, how it's being implemented into economic activity of to enhance human life, and enhance intellectual, enhance wealth, and so on and so on. So these are basic elements I look at into the aspect. I always advise my students before, when you ask for zakat, look into this aspect, enhance activity of zakat. Before zakat collection, I think in 1950s, 1960s, zakat collection it was done by privatization. Yeah, I mean to say the zakat collection is done by institution. I could remember we suggest that it should be collected by institution because more effective collection. So enhance the collection of zakat. In Malaysia, now the collection of zakat is touching over 2 billion ringgit a year. It's quite huge. And one state, 30 years ago, it's only I think it's about 5 million ringgit a year, but now it's one small state is 50 million. This is what I'm trying to say. The system of collection, the system of dispersion, and so on. Dispersion. There are many areas. Very simple example. If you do some research, what 1/8 of the receiving of zakat supposed to be travelers, right? Travelers. You could imagine if 1/8 or 2 billion you could get together, and those Muslims who pay zakat will be assured of their safety in traveling. If there is difficulty, hotel is provided. If there is difficulty, what do you call that? Financial support will be there. You see, these other areas, many other areas. Okay, one other area, just an example. One student was asking, I am just Quranic teachers. He's doing his master's. I said, do some research. How that you're going to open up a Quranic school which is viable, not asking money, sadaqah for making. You start a Quranic institution, able to understand, make a small business onto it, and that you're able to sustain according to Sharia. See, it's fulfilled. One is a religion. Second is the intellectual. And the Quranic is not hafazan. People are concentrated on hafazan. We should concentrate on tadabbur. Tadabbur means what? Tadabbur means understand. Hayati means for it, and what we call it, apply it. So here we always concentrate on khatam, complete. How many times you read Quran? 3 times finished without understanding. So, tadabbur is important element. So how we need to make an institution in relation to tahfiz. This is two areas of development for betterment of this. I look in maqasid as other areas. Is it? Yeah, that is why all maqasid could apply in real life. Okay, in quantitative analysis. So I'm going to start about it. If you are doing some research based on bibliography, on written, on the thinking of the perceptions of scholars, and so on, you can do qualitative research. What I have mentioned earlier, using content analysis, you see the perception of people thinking toward elements of maqasid or part of it, and then you'll be able to proceed on according to the perception in economic Sharia. Qualitative, and also quantitative. You combine the two. Qualitative means is you're able to quantify the thing. You do some Quranic, you do some able to cash flow variable analysis, whether you can sustain your institution or Quranic institution and so on. You have to work together. For example, just last one, what? One example, the Waqf institution. Waqf institutions should be able to be sustainable financially, administratively. They don't have asking for Waqf. You give Waqf, say 1 million, you're able to grow into 10 million without asking people. Mean to say, you look at Waqf selection, economic activities and so on, integrate the two and develop further. Like Turkey, even Indonesia have done very well in terms of Muhammadiyah Waqf institution. Just an example. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I hope I answered my
Okay, thank you, Tuan Haji Shayaa. Maybe I request Tuan Haji Shayaa to answer one question from the chat.
Maybe
Yeah.
next time, Dato.
Yeah, okay.
We
next time.
over the time, yeah.
Okay, right. So anything that for the question, you can contact Brother Shahran, and then so we will reply that through whatever, inshallah. Thank you very much. We give back to Brother Shahran.
Okay, everyone. We'll see you again tonight. We have Mr. Sanu continue talking about coronavirus, ijtihad. Thank you, Dato. Thank you, Haji. We'll see you next week, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.